One. Welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. Okay, so yesterday I tweeted that I was going to be doing a review of Kingdom Hearts 3 as an episode of 30-minute reviews. And then I thought about it, and this is a game that was 14 years in the making, and there are 9 prequels too, and there's a lot of spoilery stuff to be covered, so I'd rather not spoil it completely. And it's not like there's not a podcast I can do it on where we can, freely talk about things with spoilers and not have to worry about it. Which brings us here to Beware of Spoilers, doing I believe, first ever video game review on this channel or on this podcast. We've done TV reviews before, obviously, but this is a video game review. Honestly, I'm disappointed, very disappointed. So very quickly going through the game. The game picks up, as all of them do, in that world where it's like the Dive into the Heart, I believe it's called. Picks up there, as usual. And you go through a prequel. You pick your stat boost, you pick all that shit. You move on with your day. So then that's happening. Then after that, you pick up right where 0.2 left off, and you go to, what's it called? You go right into Olympus Coliseum, which is where a lot of the trailers showed a lot of stuff from Olympus Coliseum. And you basically play through the back half of the third act that hasn't been done already in previous games of Hercules in Olympus and all of that stuff. Coliseum's gone. No Coliseum plots. You're just playing through the story. Then you go to cutscenes. And basically, the best way to describe the game, the way the format the game functions in for the first 3/4 of the game is you do a Disney-themed world, or Twilight Town, then you leave, and then you get these 2 little bits after. You get a Riku bit, telling the story of what Riku and King Mickey are doing, and then you get a bit about Sora and Ienzo, who is the newly reformed Zexion from Chain of Memories. There's a lot of bullshit in this game, let me tell you. You have to really sit through and sift through. And you can't just start out with having only played 1, 2, and 3. There's a lot of things you'll miss. But yeah, he's trying to create replicas to bring back Roxas, Ventus, and Naminé, who are all trapped in Sora and Kairi's hearts. And if this sounds confusing to you, don't worry, it gets worse. So then you go through Twilight Town, you get introduced to Remy and, the cooking minigame, which takes a broken combat system and breaks it even worse. That way the game is already piss easy, it makes it even worse. It gives you stat boosts for how you cook. Then you go to, what's the next world after that? Toy Story, which the Pixar worlds have original stories. The strongest world in the game, in my opinion, is Toy Story. But that said, the gameplay in the world and the way the stories function doesn't really vary much. It's all go to a location, fight, go to the next location, fight, go to the next location, mini boss, fight some more, cutscene. It's very easy. It's not, there's no real, exploration. Everything feels very corridored. And it just feels different. It feels like the game feels less full than 3Ds at a minimum, and nowhere near as full as Kingdom Hearts 2. But we'll get to that in a minute. So we go to what's it called? You go to Toy Story, which has probably the strongest story in the game. Then you go to after Toy Story, you go to what's the one after that? Corona for Tangled. This woman. What the fuck? Okay. You go to Corona. I just watched a woman dump an entire bag of corn pops in a parking lot so that way she could feed a bunch of seagulls. Whatever. So you go to Corona. Corona is one of the weakest worlds in the game, where the entire mission is get from one end of the map to the other. And what's it called? It's just not, it's not fun. It's like, the world's long, it's drawn out, and it's just one long thing. It's just one long hallway. You have to get from one end of to the other. Then, after that is, then what's after that? There's a lot. Then what's the next world? Monsters Inc. I think is the next world. I played it over a few days. Sorry, these birds are distracting. Monsters Inc. is the next world after that, and that one is again. It's just get from one end of the map to the other, and it's like that's the only objective. Just follow the path, and then you get to the end. And you fight the Unversed. And now this is where it gets different because now the Unversed are thrown in, which is the bad guys from that you fight throughout. Birth by Sleep, but there's really no reason why that is. Then there is, but they don't really explain why or how Sora knows what the Unversed are or anything like that. There's a lot of things that are missing because it's not like you've ever fought them. Then you go from there to Arendelle, my least favorite world in the game, because Arendelle is the only world where I skipped cutscenes. Because you do both, what's it called? You have to listen to both, do you want to build a snowman and let it go in its entirety? And I skipped both of those because I wasn't dealing with that. It's just stupid. Like, that's not what I'm here for. No other world in the history of the franchise has had music play a part. And quite honestly, I think Let It Go is one of the most overrated songs in Disney's musical library, and that's the one I'm going to go with. But yeah, I don't know. So they, so you go to Arendelle, you go to, and all through, presumed dead organization members are making returns for some reason that they also never really explain. And the game is confusing about it, because one of the things that we learned previously is that when a heart is removed from the body, this is one of the fundamental things of the series. When the heart's removed from the body, the heart becomes heartless. And that's the heartless in the first game. Then what happens is when that happens, there's also a body left behind. The body, the husk body, becomes a nobody. When you kill both the nobody and the heartless, it becomes a person again. So the bad guy from the first one was the main bad guy for the whole series, Xehanort's nobody. It was his heartless. Then the second game was his nobody. Then they reformed into Xehanort. And my problem with this is, this happens for Marluxia, for Larxene, for Yenzo, for Luxord, for all of these people who are relevant to the plot for no reason really given, and other than the fact that they need people to go there. They always want to do Xehanort everywhere like they did in 3Ds. So you're doing that, and then it's like, why am I bothering with this story? Because then it's like, okay, so they're reformed. Marluxia's reformed, Larxene's reformed, Luxord's reformed. I feel like there was one more who was presumed dead but reformed. I don't know. But those are the three. Oh, Demnix and Vexen are all also reformed, which we all assumed was going to happen. Demnix and Vexen kind of vanish after a certain point in the story because their plot points wrap up, and then they're just kind of not there anymore. But there are a lot of characters who get very disserviced by this game, and we'll get to that toward the end, a little bit later. So these characters are reformed, but then in the final fight, when you fight them, they're vanishing into darkness again. It's like, oh, you'll be reformed again. I don't think that's how it works. And if it is, that just opens up more questions that I'm still confused about. So then you go to after Arendelle, you fight you deal with Larxene there. You deal with fighting some giant heartless thing. You go to what's after that? Oh, the Caribbean, which is one of the more fun worlds, and it really wanted me to go back and watch Pirates of the Caribbean again, where you get to, do like Black Flag and just command a pirate ship and take on other pirates, and that's a really fun world to go and explore in, because there's a huge map, a lot of places to go to. If the whole game were more structured like that, I would have been more fine with it, but just that one world is like that. Then is San Fran Tokyo, I don't know how you pronounce it, from Big Hero 6, which again, giant overworld, a lot of space to go and, fuck around in, which again, nice. Those are the only two worlds that have that. And then from then on, the entire rest of the game is a boss rush. Right after that, you have to fight Aqua, free Aqua. And the thing is, the entire plot of the game up until this point is basically glossed over and ignored. Where it's like, for the first 2/3 of the game, none of that matters. You're just going through Disney worlds, you're basically just going through the motions of a Kingdom Hearts game. You're going through the Disney worlds, you're not really interacting with the main plot, except for in cutscenes after you complete a world. And then by the time you get back to the end, now you have to go through and do the main plot all at once. So, ultimately, it makes what Riku and Mickey are doing up until that point useless. Because then now you're the one who rescues Aqua. Aqua gets freed. Then you go right to Castle Oblivion, where Ven's being held, and it gets reformed into the Land of Departure. You rescue Ven. Cool. And you fight Vanitas. Then after you do that, you go to... So after you fight Vanitas and free Ven, then you go back, and then it's like, alright, now time to go to the final battle. So everyone marches off to the final battle, and then it's just boss after boss after boss after boss, and it's like, there's really nothing to break up the monotony of that, and it's just boss, 10-minute long cutscene, boss, 10-minute long cutscene, and it's like, but the thing is, a lot of the overarching questions of the series that were going into this game aren't really satisfyingly answered, is my problem. It's like, okay, so there's 358, which takes place between, 1 and 2, but, partially through Chain of Memories, and then after it, and, it's like, there's a character there shown who disappears from existence, but now she's back, and they don't really explain how or why. Roxas comes back via time travel, because this wasn't confusing enough with time travel previously. We're just going to do more time travel to fix the problems the time travel solved. It sounds like the Flash trying to solve a problem. It's just, I don't know. It's just, there's just so much going on and not going on well. It's like, why? And then it's like, the removal of reaction commands take away a lot of cool things that they could have done in the final fights, where you're teaming up with Aqua and Ven to fight Terra, and I forgot who the other one was. Maybe Zigbar. You're teaming up with Riku to fight Mickey, and no, you're teaming with Riku to fight the Riku from Kingdom Hearts 1, and you could have done some really cool team attacks, but there's nothing like that in this game. Ultimately, the game just feels like one giant missed opportunity, if you ask me. It's like, they're hitting just enough points, and there are a ton of mini-games, and they're doing just enough to make it seem like they did a lot in this game, but it's really not that much. It's like, if this is going to be the send-off to the first arc of the series, the first 9 of the arc, and this is going to be the ending of it, and it doesn't feel like a proper send-off for anything. It's like, you're not really going back and respecting where the game came from. You're kind of just trying your best to fix the colossal fuck-ups that have happened over the years. And it's just because the plot is just convoluted and complex for absolutely no reason. And then, when you finally get... And now I'm going to talk about Kairi's arc in this game, Kairi, who in the first game was a damsel in distress, whose heart gets locked in Sora's, and then Sora releases it to free Kairi, and then and she saves him, so that's kind of cool. Then she goes back to Destiny Island, Sora goes to Castle Oblivion, Sora goes to Kingdom Hearts 2, Kairi gets abducted, spends most of the game Kingdom Hearts 2 abducted, then escapes, has one cool moment where she gets a Keyblade for the first time, she kind of, and then she does nothing for the rest of the game. Then I don't think she does anything in 3Ds or anything else between 2 and 3, besides being deemed one of the Keyblade wielders for this whole scenario. And then she goes and she becomes, in this game, she's training in the hyperbolic time chamber for most of the game. Then she comes out, gets kidnapped, and gets murdered. And that's it. It's like... And the thing is, it's not like there's any female character in this game who serviced well. It's like Aqua was cool in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. She does things. She's really the only one who has her head straight through the entire thing, and she's trying to keep everything together while Terra goes and fucks everything up, and Ven's just kind of there for the ride, and she's just kind of trying to fix everything herself. Then there's... who else is there? Naminé, who doesn't show up until the last 5 minutes of the game. The Disney characters are all just observing their roles from the movies. It's just, I don't know. It's just, like, no female character in this game is serviced well. And there are entire worlds where there are no female characters. And it's just, it feels weird. Not to say that's not par for the course for the rest of the series, but it's not something that's great. I'm surprised I haven't seen anyone comment on how poorly women are serviced in this game. So yeah. Then let's talk about the secret ending movie. There are two that were both patched in after release. The first one is back at the Keyblade Graveyard. Turns out Xigbar didn't die, and he has that box from Unchained X. And here's another problem I have with this franchise. Why is a fucking phone game the most important piece of lore in this piece of shit? Why do I have to play through a free-to-play phone game to get any semblance of backstory to understand what the fuck's going on? So that happens. And then it's him talking to the other foretellers who are still alive, and we still don't know what's in the box, what the significance of the box is, or anything like that. And now it's just the box is there. We now know where the box is, and we see Pete and Maleficent, who have kind of just been there throughout the game, kind of doing nothing in various cutscenes, just like looking for the box, and then they find the box there. And that's going to be the next game, is whatever the hell this box is. And then the secret ending movie, which you get by getting a bunch of the lucky emblems, is... Okay, so at the end of the game, Sora vanishes and goes off to look for Kairi, and he vanishes at the very end of the game. He turns to dust. I saw one person theorize that it could be a tie-in for the first DLC for Endgame. I don't think that's likely. I think if they could use Marvel characters, they would have. But it'd be interesting if they did that. But we see him rematerialize in the real world, or the world from that stupid game Verum Rex that Rex was playing in Toy Story World, with that guy Yozora who has the two different color eyes, and Riku is also there. Now, if you're trying to figure out what's going on with the secret ending movie, try and predict what's going to happen next, I would suggest not, because previous secret ending movies have done nothing to actually tell you what's going to go on. If you think of the previous two, the first one was in Kingdom Hearts, and that one showed showed Riku fighting Roxas, who has two Keyblades, and we hadn't seen anyone dual wield Keyblades at that point, and it's in the world that never was, and it's a pretty cool sequence, but ultimately that's only touched on in Kingdom Hearts 2, and functionally it goes into a spin-off. 358 really handles getting to that point from there. Then 2's secret ending movie is Aqua, Ven, and Terra all at the... They're all at the Keyblade Graveyard, and they show you the third act fight from Birth by Sleep, where they're all teaming up to fight Xehanort. And we see for the first time when the mask comes off of Ven, we see him we see as he looks like Roxas at that point. We don't know what's going on, and it's a whole big clusterfuck. But again, that's not touched on in 3. That's entirely self-contained in a sequel, in a spin-off for the PSP. So I'm thinking that this thing with Verum Rex is going to be contained in a spinoff, and the other evidence of that is the ending Reconnect. Reconnect is what they tailed off every secret ending movie in the other ones, because it was about getting all the parts together to reconnect to the next numbered entry. Where it's like, we need Aqua, we need Terra, we need all that, so they reconnect that in. And it's all of the elements, essential story elements, reconnecting in at once. And that's what it's about. So that's why I don't think that this story is going to really be touched on as widely as it should be. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there. I think that this was a drastically underwhelming entry into it. The story feels a lot shorter, but only padded out through tons and tons of mini games, obligatory or not, and a lot of collectathon sequences and things like that don't really fit in with previous entries. The world selection feels bland. The world design seems bland. I mean, nothing about this game really stands up and strikes me as being anywhere near as good as 2 was, or even 3Ds was. So we'll wrap it up there for today. Honestly, if you haven't bought it by now, you're probably going to want to play the other ones first. So pick up the other ones first on the PS4, and then if you like that, we'll go from there and make your own decision on 3, because if you sat through 1 and 2 and all the spin-offs and you can still stomach it and look at yourself in the mirror, then at that point, just swallow the pill and buy 3. Just wrap up the story just for your own sanity. But yeah, if you're going to make someone wait 14 years, it's got to be fucking stellar. Let's just put it that way. And this does not quite deliver on that mark. And we'll wrap up there for today. Have a good rest of the week.